My dad walked out when I was 6, left me nothing but a box of secrets, hidden cash, and a love I never knew that's tearing me apart. I'm Lucas, 32, just a regular guy who fixes cars for a living. And I've been carrying something heavy lately that I need to get off my chest. My dad died a couple months ago, cancer, apparently, and I didn't even know until this random letter showed up in my mailbox. I haven't seen him since I was 6, when he walked out on me and my mom with nothing but a suitcase and a grunt. Growing up, I hated him for it. Hated how Mom's eyes got all hollow, how he scraped by in a trailer while he just disappeared. She never talked about him, and when she died 5 years ago, I figured that was it. He was gone for good. Turns out, I was wrong, and now I'm a mess trying to figure out what this all means. The letter hit me like a brick. It wasn't even from him. Some nurse named Clara wrote it, said he'd been in hospice an hour north, fading fast, and asked her to reach out before he was gone. I stood there, grease still on my hands from the garage, staring at this shaky handwriting telling me he was dead and wanted me to have something. A box, stashed at his old cabin by the lake. She taped a key to the page, said he'd been thinking about me at the end, and I lost it. I cried. Guys, right there in my crummy apartment, not even sure why. Anger, maybe, or some stupid kid part of me that still wanted him around. He'd been nothing to me for 26 years, and now he's pulling this. I couldn't sleep that night. That letter sat on my table, staring at me, and I kept picking up the key, feeling its weight. Why now? Why me? He didn't care when Mom was sick, didn't show up when I buried her alone. He didn't even send a lousy birthday card. But Clara's words stuck with me. He had regrets, she said, stuff he couldn't say, and it tore me up. Part of me wanted to chuck it all in the trash, let him stay dead, but I couldn't. I had to know what was in that box, what he thought was worth dragging me back into his mess. So I decided I'd go, not because he deserved it, but because I deserved answers. The drive to the cabin was brutal, an hour of me gripping the wheel, trees flashing by while my head spun. It's this rundown shack by the lake, wood all weathered, roof sagging like it's tired of standing. I hadn't been there since I was a kid, but I remembered his truck parked out front, him laughing by the water. The key worked, door creaking open, and it hit me. Dust, mildew, this empty feeling like he'd just stepped out. I found the box right away, metal and beat up, sitting on a table like it was waiting. It had a lock, but the key didn't fit, and I got so mad I grabbed a screwdriver from my truck and busted it open, my hands shaking like crazy. Inside was everything. Photos of me as a kid, me on his shoulders, grinning like an idiot, Mom smiling next to us, happy in a way I barely remember. Letters, tons of them, all to me, never sent, ink fading like his excuses. And a journal, his messy writing filling pages about my first steps, my birthdays, then stuff turning dark, fights with Mom, him leaving. I sat there, dust sticking to my sweaty hands, flipping through it, and my heart just broke. He wrote about walking out, said he had to, said it was for us, whatever that means. I wanted to scream. How was ditching us for us? What did he do that was so bad he couldn't stay? The photos gutted me most. Me at 4, him looking at me like I was his whole world, Mom laughing in the sun. I don't have pictures like that. Mom threw them out after he left, and I'd forgotten his face, how he used to be. The letters were worse. Apologies. I miss you, Lucas. I'm sorry I can't be there. Why didn't he send them? Why write all this and leave me thinking he didn't care? I packed it back up, my chest so tight I could barely breathe, and drove home, the box riding shotgun like a ghost I couldn't shake. That night, I spread it all out again. Photos, journal, letters, and just sat there, crying like a kid again. I called the hospice the next day, got Clara on the line, my voice all flat because I didn't know how to feel. She sounded tired but kind, said he'd talked about me at the end, called me his biggest regret, wanted me to have the box to know the truth. I asked why he left, begged her, really, but she didn't have much, just said he was haunted, broken, like something chased him away. I hung up, staring at that journal, and it hit me. He'd done something big, and I had to figure it out. I hate him still, but I'm so torn up I can't let it go. This box is killing me. Read it, and I don't know what's next, but I'm not done digging. I need to know why he broke us. Update 2. My dad's box is tearing me apart, and I can't stop. Hey Reddit, I posted a couple days ago about my dad dying, and leaving me this box that's basically ripping my heart out. And I'm back because I can't let it go. I've been a wreck since I opened it. Those photos of me as a kid, his letters begging forgiveness he never sent, that journal saying he left for us. I've barely slept, just sitting up nights with this stuff spread out on my table, trying to figure out why he ditched me and Mom when I was 6. I thought I'd hate him forever, but now I'm crying over him, and I hate myself for it. I had to keep digging, and what I found today is killing me even more. I started with the journal. It's all I've got that's straight from him, his messy handwriting like he was rushing to get it out. The early pages are sweet, stuff I didn't expect. Me being born, him holding me in the hospital, Mom smiling at my first birthday. It's like he loved us once, really loved us, and I can't stop picturing it. This life I don't remember. But then it turns ugly. 98? I'm 5, and he's writing about losing jobs, fighting with Mom, money disappearing. I sat there, my hands shaking, reading how it fell apart, and then bam. The day he left, one line. Had to go, had to protect them, for what I did. Protect us? I wanted to throw it across the room. What kind of protection leaves a kid with nothing? The letters are worse, dozens, all to me, some from years ago, some newer, all unopened because he never mailed them. I spread them out, my eyes burning, and read them one by one. Him saying he's sorry, he misses me, he wishes he could have seen me grow up. One from Reading, 10 years back, hit me hard. You're safer without me. Lucas, I can't come back. Safer? From what? I'm bawling as I write this. He was out there, thinking about me, and I was here hating him, thinking he forgot. Why didn't he send them? Why let me believe he didn't care? It's like he was punishing himself, and now he's punishing me with this guilt I don't want. The photos keep me up too. Me on his shoulders, him grinning like I was everything, Mom laughing by the lake. It's the cabin. I know it now, the same place I found the box. There's one of him alone, older, by a truck with a California plate, dated 2005. He was close, hours away, and never came back. I flipped it over, saw Eddie scribbled on it, and my stomach dropped. Who's Eddie? Some buddy he ran off with? I couldn't stop. Went back to the cabin the next day, my heart pounding the whole drive, needing more than this half-story he left me. The place was the same, dusty, falling apart, like he'd just walked out again. I tore through it this time, checked drawers, under the cot, everywhere, my hands dirty and my chest tight. I found a loose floorboard, pried it up with my screwdriver, and there it was, another tin box, smaller, rusted shut. I busted it open right there, my breath all ragged, and pulled out a folded map, a keychain with no key, and a Polaroid. Him and some guy, both looking serious, a bar glowing behind them. The map's got towns circled, Reading, Masonville, places from his letters, and a note. Tell E if I don't make it. E for Eddie? I'm losing it. Guys, he was running, scared, and this Eddie knows why. I drove home with that box, my head spinning, and laid it all out. Map next to the journal, matching dates to towns. He left in 99, hit Reading by 2005, kept moving, writing me the whole time. The letters talk about them finding him, what happened haunting him, and I'm sitting there, tears dripping on the table, wondering what he did that was so bad. Was it money? Trouble? Something that could have hurt me and Mom. I called off work, told my partner at the garage I needed a few days, family stuff, and he didn't push. I'm a mess, but I had to find Eddie. Reading's 3 hours away, and I went for it. Map and photo in my truck, my hands shaking the whole way. Reading's this dusty little town. Diner, bar, not much else. And I hit the bar first, the neon sign flickering like the Polaroid. I walked in, my boots loud on the floor, and slid the photo to the bartender, my heart in my throat. He looked at it, nodded slow. Eddie, he said, used to come around. Might be at the trailer park 10 miles out. I drove there, sun sinking, my stomach in knots, and found this old guy on a porch, eyes sharp like he'd been waiting. I showed him the photo, my voice cracking, and he took it, his hands shaking too. He knew James, said I looked just like him, and I broke down right there, sobbing like a kid. He didn't wait for me to pull it together, started talking, slow and heavy, about him and my dad, friends who got in over their heads, a job that went wrong. I sat there, tears streaming, my whole body tense. He was about to tell me why my dad ran, why he broke us, and I couldn't breathe waiting for it. I'm so torn up, read it. I hate him, I miss him, I need this, and it's killing me. I'll post again when I can, once I hear it all. Thanks for listening. I'm a wreck, but I'm not stopping now. Update 3. My dad's secret broke me, and it's not even over. It's Lucas again, and I'm sitting in my truck right now, crying my eyes out, trying to type this because I just heard something that's tearing me apart. I posted last time about driving to Reading to find Eddie, this old guy who knew my dad, who left me and mom when I was 6 and died a couple months ago, leaving me this box of letters and junk that's been wrecking me. I found Eddie at this trailer park, showed him the photo of him and dad, and he started talking, told me why my dad ran, and it's so much worse than I thought. I'm a mess, guys, and I don't even know what to do with this yet. I was sobbing when I sat down with him, my hands shaking on that porch, the Polaroid all crumpled from holding it too tight. Eddie looked at me, his eyes all sharp and sad, like he'd been carrying this forever. He started slow, his voice rough like gravel. He took me back to '98, when I was 5, him and dad young and dumb, chasing cash in our little nowhere town. They'd hooked up with this guy Vic, some shady dude running stuff across state lines, cigarettes and booze mostly, and it was easy at first, enough to keep the lights on. I leaned in, my chest tight, trying to picture my dad like that, some guy I didn't know, not the ghost I'd hated. Then it got dark. Eddie's hands shook as he told me about this one night, November '98, a job that went sideways. Vic gave them a truck, a route north, said don't look, just drive. But Dad, God, why couldn't he just listen? Cracked a crate open, and it wasn't liquor, it was guns, a whole load of them, illegal and heavy, going somewhere bad. I felt sick hearing it, my stomach twisting. He wasn't just a deadbeat, he'd stumbled into something dangerous, and I could feel it coming. The reason he broke us. Eddie said they fought, him wanting to finish it, Dad freaking out, saying no way. And that's when Vic showed up, caught them, lost it. I'm crying so hard typing this. Eddie said Vic pulled a knife, got in Dad's face, told them to deliver or die, no messing around. Dad pushed back, always too stubborn, and Vic's guys beat him down, left him bloody in the dirt, Eddie dragging him out while Vic screamed they'd pay if they talked. I sat there, tears streaming, picturing my dad like that, scared, hurt, not the jerk I'd imagined, and it hit me so hard I couldn't breathe. Eddie said Dad went home that night, patched up, but a wreck, told Mom just enough to fight, not enough to make sense. He wrote it later, said he couldn't risk Vic coming after us, couldn't live with that, so he ran, left us to keep us safe, or that's what he thought. I doubled over right there, sobbing into my hands. 26 years I hated him, thinking he didn't care, and he was running from this? Eddie kept going, his voice all cracked. Dad took off before dawn, left me and Mom to outrun Vic's shadow, while Eddie stayed, worked it off, kept quiet. Dad kept moving. Reading, Masonville, all those towns in his letters, writing me, missing me, too scared to come back. I'm so mad. Read it. He thought he was protecting us, but he left me with nothing, left Mom to die alone, and I'm sitting here crying for him anyway, like some dumb kid who still wants her dad. Eddie said they met up once, '05 in that bar, the Polaroid a snapshot of him begging Eddie to watch out for me if he couldn't. He was already breaking then, guilt eating him, fear keeping him gone, and cancer finished him before he could fix it. I looked at Eddie, my face all wet, and asked, did Vic ever come? He shook his head. Vic got locked up years back, died in jail, threat gone, but Dad never knew, never stopped running. I lost it again, screaming, hitting the porch railing. He could have come home, could have tried, and I'd have had something, anything, instead of this hole he left. I stumbled off that porch, my chest heaving, Eddie calling after me, but I couldn't stay. He'd given me the why, but it didn't fix anything, just broke me more. I drove back, tears blurring the road, the box rattling beside me, and crashed on my couch, staring at those letters, his apologies, his love, all useless now. I hate him so much, guys, but I miss him too, and I feel so stupid for it. I thought that was it. Vic, the guns, him running, but then my phone buzzed, right as I started typing this. Unknown number, a text. James owed more than he told Eddie. Check the keychain. My heart stopped. The empty keychain from the tin box, heavy like it meant something. I grabbed it, my hands shaking, and there's a seam, like it opens, but it's stuck. I'm freaking out. Reddit, what else did he owe? Who's texting me? I'm sitting here, bawling, trying to pry it open, and I don't know what's coming, but it's not over. I'm so torn up. I thought I had the whole story, thought I could bury him again. But there's more, and it's killing me. I'll update when I figure it out. I can't stop now, even if it breaks me worse. Thanks for reading. I'm a disaster, but it helps. Update 4. I found my dad's last secret, and I'm finally letting go. It's Lucas, back one last time, and I'm typing this with tears all over my face because I finally got the whole story, my dad's story, and it's broken me open, but I think I'm gonna be okay. I posted last time about Eddie telling me why dad ran. Those guns, that night with Vic, how he left me and mom when I was 6 to keep us safe, or so he thought. I was a wreck, crying in my truck, hating him and missing him all at once. And then that text hit. James owed more than he told Eddie. Check the keychain. It sent me spinning, and what I found in there. God, it's a lot, guys, but I'm ready to let it go. I was shaking so bad after that text, sitting on my couch with the box, the empty keychain in my hands. It's this heavy metal thing from the tin box I found at the cabin. No key, just a blank loop, but the text said check it, and I saw that seam, like it could pop open. My fingers were all sweaty, fumbling, and I grabbed a knife from the kitchen, wedging it in until it clicked, the top flipping up. Inside was a folded paper, tiny and yellowed, and my heart stopped. A note, his handwriting, messy like always, dated 2 years ago. If you're reading this, Lucas, I'm gone. I owe Vic's guy 10 grand, hid it in the cabin floor. Tell Eddie I'm sorry, tell yourself I loved you. I dropped it, sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. 10 grand, another debt, another secret he took to his grave. I sat there, tears dripping on my shirt, the note shaking in my hand. He'd owed more, not just his life, but money, and hid it like some coward. I wanted to scream. Why didn't he tell Eddie? Why didn't he fight? But I knew. He was scared, always running, and this was his last loose end, dumped on me like everything else. I drove back to the cabin that night, my eyes burning, couldn't stop myself. I had to find it, had to see what he'd left. The floorboard was still loose, and I dug deeper this time, my hands raw, until I hit a plastic bag, dirty, taped shut, stuffed with cash, old 20s and 50s, more than I could count right there. I sat back, crying into the dust. He'd stashed it, 10 grand probably, right where I'd found the tin box, and never told a soul. I drove home with it, the bag on the seat, my chest so tight I thought I'd crack. Back at my place, I counted it, $9, 800, close enough, wrinkled and real, his debt staring me down. I spread it out with the letters, the photos, that note, and just broke, sobbing like a kid, all the years crashing in. He'd run from Vic, from us, then from this debt too. Owed some guy tied to Vic, probably after that night went bad, and hid it instead of facing it. The text, unknown number, had to be someone who knew, maybe watching him, maybe Eddie's old crew, I don't know, but it led me here, and I hate how it hurts. He loved me, he wrote it, but he left me with this mess, and I'm so tired of carrying it. I sat there all night, tears drying on my face, thinking about him. Dad, James, this broken guy who tried to save us and lost himself. I thought about Mom, how she'd hurt without knowing, how I'd grown up mad and alone. I hated him so much, read it, for 26 years, but now I see him, scared, dumb, loving me in his messed up way, and it's killing me to feel sorry for him. I burned the map after that, watched it curl up in my sink, but kept the cash, the note, the letters. I couldn't let them go yet. I called Eddie the next day, my voice all hoarse, told him about the debt, the note, and he sighed, heavy and sad, said Dad never told him, kept it buried, and he was sorry too, for all of it. I didn't know what to do with the money, 10 grand of guilt, sitting there like his last apology. I thought about giving it back, finding Vic's guy, but he's dead, Eddie said, gone years ago, and this cash is just mine now, I guess. I stashed it in a drawer, my hands shaking. I can't spend it. Not yet, it's too raw. Work's been my lifeline. Went back to the garage, told my partner I'm good, and fixed cars until my arms ached, trying to feel normal. I drove to the cabin one more time, left the box there, locked up, walked away. It's his, not mine anymore, and I cried the whole way home, letting him go. Weeks passed, and I dug online. Vic's name, old articles, found he got busted in '09, died in jail, threat long gone before Dad's cancer hit. I broke down again. He could have come back, could have tried, but he didn't, and I'll never get that time. I kept the letters, though, read them when I'm low. They're proof he cared, even if he sucked at showing it. One night, my buddy at the garage asked how I'm holding up, and I just shrugged. Eyes wet. He doesn't get it, but he stayed, and that helped. I'm not alone, not like I thought. It's been a couple months now, and I'm standing in my apartment, looking out at the city lights, feeling different. Not fixed, but lighter. I was so mad, so hurt, chasing his ghost through that box, and it broke me. Guns, dead, him running, but I found me in it too. I'm not that kid waiting for him, not the guy hating him blind. I'm Lucas, messed up but standing, and he doesn't own me anymore. I'll keep the cash, maybe fix up my truck, something for me, not him. As I type this, tears are falling, but they're quieter. I loved him, I lost him, and I'm letting him go. Thanks, Reddit, for listening. I'm a wreck, but I'm free, and that's enough.